For the first time in a month, welcome to the Hippie Geeks. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to catch all our new videos. So, why haven't I worked on any videos for the last month? 3 terrifying words. Unprovoked Pulmonary Embolism. The short version of this story is that Lindsay had a massive blood clot in her lungs and could have died. With blood clots that size, you have a 30 to 70% chance of just outright dying. Think about that wonderful statistic for a moment. Terrifying. It all started on July 9th with these messages I got from Lindsay. She lives with chronic pain caused by degenerative disc disease. After rupturing L5-S1 when she was 25, things have never been right in her back. In the last 5 years, the pain has really started ramping up, with massive flare-ups several times per year. Her pain levels are the reason that we started growing our own medicine, and is the only reason she even started using it in the first place. At this point, we figured that she had probably pulled a muscle or somehow sent her back into spasm. This has happened before, and the only way to work through it is with rest and massage. The next day, our youngest daughter had a dentist appointment that Lindsay took her to. By the end of the appointment, her pain in the middle right side of her back had gotten so bad that she wasn't able to drive home. Luckily, our daughter has her driver's permit and was able to drive them home while Lindsay cried in the back of the van. At this point, I left work and headed home. It would be a week before I even considered going back. We got her on the couch and I worked on her back. We make edible capsules with some of the medicinal plants, and she typically only takes them to be able to sleep at night. We started ramping them up to help her deal with the pain, 1 every 4 hours or so to start with. We continued this way for the next few days. I stayed home to take care of the house while she tried resting. It wasn't getting better. We called her doctor on Friday and she agreed that it sounded like the muscle spasms that Lindsay has had before and prescribed a muscle relaxer to help stop them so that she could heal. It didn't help. That entire day, Lindsay was taking 1 capsule every hour. I set alarms on my phone for every hour through the night and got up to get her one to keep the pain levels down. At this point, you are probably wondering why we had not gone to the emergency room yet. A perfectly valid question, unless you are someone that deals with a degenerating spine or any other invisible chronic problem. We have gone into the ER when her pain levels have been elevated before, and they will not do anything. They either assume that you are drug seeking or that your pain just isn't that bad because you look fine. That has happened to us 3 times now, and it's very discouraging. So we stayed home and tried to get through it. On the 14th, the pain levels were even worse, and the pain was creeping up into her neck and jaw. We called the nurse's line, and she calmly told us to pack an overnight bag and get to the ER. Lindsay had done some reading and thought that she had somehow partially collapsed her lung. We headed into the ER about 2 in the afternoon, hoping for some help and some answers. We told them what was going on, and we were whisked into a room about 3 minutes later. We didn't know it at the time, but with the pain she was experiencing, spreading up into her neck and jaw the way it was, indicated blood clot, and they were taking it very seriously. They ran a slew of blood and urine tests, but the big one here is something called a D-dimer test. An elevated result indicates clotting somewhere in the body. Hers was very, very high. The next test was a CT scan of her chest to see if there was a blockage. There was. A massive blood clot in her right lung, blocking off flow to the lower lobe. This particular pain had never been about her back. That was the blood clot lodging itself in her lung, and it radiated out into her back. How are you to know that, though? When you deal with horrific pain all of the time, who thinks blood clot? We spent the next 3 days in the hospital, more tests and starting medication, Lovenox to start her blood thinning, and warfarin for at least the next 6 months, possibly the rest of her life. A pulmonary embolism is usually caused by a deep vein thrombosis, or blood clot in the deep veins in your legs. Usually this happens because of an extremely sedentary lifestyle, surgery, or an injury of some sort. The hospital ran ultrasounds on both of her legs, with nothing showing up. She does not lay around, she runs our house like a boss, and while she does have to rest occasionally, she moves more than enough to keep that from happening. She has not had surgery, there have been no injuries, and she has none of the other risk factors for a blood clot. That is where the unprovoked part comes from. There is no reason for it to have happened, it just did. Lindsay has won the crappiest lottery ever. Fortunately, it doesn't seem to have strained her heart, which can happen. For as bad as it was and what happened, it could have been worse. She could have died when it first happened. She could have died at any point while we were at home, thinking it was her back. As hard as it is to say, we were lucky. Here we are a month later, and she is feeling better. Not best, but better. She is still tired. Blood clots do not just go away overnight. You take blood thinners and hope that it breaks down, but sometimes they don't. She is still taking Lovenox shots twice a day in her stomach because the warfarin levels in her blood refuse to level out. That, in and of itself, is painful. It is better, though, and that's really all you can ask for. She is looking at a 1 to 2 year recovery time, and some folks never get back to where they were before. We are hopeful, though, and she is a fighter. To everyone that reached out, we appreciate you more than you know. This is the hardest thing we've had to go through since Noah was born 2 months early and we had to spend a month in the NICU. Hopefully none of you ever have to deal with this, but if you have raging back pain traveling up into your face, get to the ER immediately. Have any of you had to deal with something like this, especially at such a young age? Lindsay is only 35, which is so much earlier than most folks have to deal with it. If so, we would love to hear about it in the comments below. If this is your first time here on the Hippie Geeks, it would be wonderful to have you subscribe. This channel is all about helping you visualize, learn, and create. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and check out our Patreon page or merch store to support the channel directly. Thanks again, and we will see you on the next one.